Hi everyone, thanks for joining in. I'm excited to have Ali Lowe join me. Hi Ali.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks. I've spoken to you before and we've had you before as author for the day, I think. So great to have you back again.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So, a little bit about Ali. She is the author of three books now, and her novels have been called A Cross Between Big Little Lies and Desperate Housewives, and are published in the UK, Australia, New Zealand, and America. She's a journalist by profession and has dual Australian and British citizenship, and she lives on Sydney's northern beaches with her husband and three children. And her latest book is The School Run. I can see you've got your copies there, and I've just
Yeah,
finished reading mine. I think it was only just out a few days ago, wasn't it?
yeah, it was out last Tuesday, so it's a week tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah, so
yeah.
these are all my publisher's copies stacked up. So yeah, it's been really exciting. It's been a great week.
And I think you might have seen, I actually gave 5 stars to The School Run. I really, really enjoyed it.
I did see that actually. I was telling my husband earlier. I was like, "Oh, Jackie gave it 5 stars." So yeah, I was really chuffed with that. Thank you. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it was great. Do you want to start off by telling us a bit about The School Run?
Yeah, of course. So the school run is set in a sort of affluent community where there is a school called Iggy's or St. Ignatius Boys Grammar that all the mums want their sons to go to. So essentially, it's a story about three women who are vying to get their sons over the line, get sort of these really competitive places at this school. And these mums will do anything to get their boys across the line. And at the start of the book, in the prologue, we know that someone's been hit by a car. And as the book
Mm.
unfolds, we realize that that person needs to be sort of got rid of for certain reasons. Yeah, lots of secrets and mysteries sort of unfurl as the book progresses.
And what was the first idea you had for the school run?
Well, the idea for the book came from just my son was actually going through. He was in year 5, and a lot of chatter in the playground was, high schools and where kids
Mm.
were going, and there were a lot of parents saying, "Well, did you know that so and so, did this to try and get across the line for this
Mm.
school?" And just lots of chatter. And because I was experiencing at the time, this kind of thing at the time. Oh, my cat's come to say
Oh, okay.
because I was kind of going through it, I was thinking about it a lot. And a friend of mine mentioned that a mum she knew had baked a cake for the admissions team at a
Mm.
private boys' school
Mm.
to get her boys places, and they actually had got places. And whether it's to do with the cake or not, we'll never know. But I just love that idea. And also, I'd read quite a bit about the school admissions scandal in the US.
Mm.
So all this stuff was kind of on my mind, and as I was kind of going through it myself and hearing a lot about it in my own schoolyard, this kind of story started to form about women who do anything to get their boys places.
Yeah. And what sort of feedback have you been getting from readers?
Well, actually, it's been getting some good reviews, and I've been really encouraged by it because obviously,
Mm.
when you have a book baby go out in the world, it's really, really terrifying. And it's my third one, and in some ways, the pressure builds and builds as they come out because you start to get a little loyal readership, and you start to get people expecting things
Mm.
of you, and you really want to be able to deliver. So I've been really pleased that so far there's been a positive response to it, and everyone's been so kind. And the sort of books to grand community and Facebook community, and global girls, everyone's been
Mm.
really, really supportive. So
Mm.
yeah, that's really encouraging.
Yeah. And have you had any readers say they've experienced similar things with like admissions to private schools?
I haven't, but I've had friends in the course of writing the book who said, "Oh,
Mm.
why don't you do this? I heard so and so did this," and
Mm.
and you kind of think, wow. But I mean, the people in the book, that Iggy's has this gala day that boys have to perform, they have to play a rugby match, and they have to
Mm.
take part in an interview in order to get in. And I don't know any schools that do that. And that was really a figment of my imagination because
Mm.
it was a private school, and private schools can really do what they want, I guess, when it comes to admissions. So I hadn't had anyone doing anything as wild as my characters do, but
Yeah.
you do hear the sort of thing, you know, about parents sending letters to the school and, you know, turning up and at the registrar's desk and stuff like that. So yeah, heard the odd thing, but nothing too outlandish.
Yeah, and we've got a few people watching, so just wanted to say to those watching, if you've got any questions for Ali, please type them in comments and I can read them out. Belinda, she said she's read all three of your books and loved them all, and she wonders who your favourite character was to write in this book. I have to say there
Oh,
were some interesting characters.
oh, hi, Belinda. My favourite character, without a shadow of a doubt, was Estella. I just I seem to love writing these really kind of, you know, aggravatingly mean
Mm,
female characters who have redeeming characters and sort of seem to turn good, most of them in the end. And Estella was a real joy to write because, you know, as my husband always says, you know, I'm quite a happy-go-lucky person. I don't like to offend anyone and I don't like to argue with anyone, but my characters do. So I can kind of unleash that side of me that I don't, you know, that kind of I don't show through these people. And I really enjoyed the relationship she has with her daughter Felicity, because they're constantly fighting, yet they do
yeah.
really love each other deep down. But I just loved all the kind of the wisecracks that Felicity makes and the way they, you know, they're really, really bat heads, but they do, you know, they're obviously really, really fond of one another, but it's their safe place for both of
Yeah.
them. Like it is for lots of kids, you know, certainly my kids will come home and, you know, yell at mum because that's the safe place. And I recognise that as I was writing it. So yeah, those two characters, I guess, were my favourite, particularly Stella.
And Sharon wonders how much research you did for this book.
A lot of it was from my imagination. So obviously the actual storyline, the making up of the gala day was all fictional. So there was no research that went into that. But there was research that went into things like the Latin. There's quite a bit. If you've read the book, you know that
Yeah,
there's
there is a bit of
ancient
Latin, yeah.
historical side to it. And I actually studied Latin as a teenager. So I can sort of say, you know, the slave is in the garden, you know, the lady is in the forum, but that was about my extent. I couldn't remember any of it, so I had to brush up on that for certain phrases, and a lot of Google Translate came into play there. I did an ancient history degree, so I used that for some of the kind of ancient historical references because Beth used to work in the Roman room before she became a cake baker at the museum. So, and also the cake baking. I do actually like to make cakes, but I'm not an expert, so I did have to kind of research a little bit about, you know, types of fondant and types of tools that might be used to create a cake and stuff like that. So the research in that kind of sense was quite minimal. There wasn't anything deep and historical, but yeah, there were bits of research along the way, and a lot of it was imagination.
Yeah. And what about what you like to read yourself? Is there anything you might have read lately you'd like to recommend to us?
Yeah, well, I've just literally finished today, James Hara's Tilda is Visible.
Oh, okay, yeah, I just
Have you
received
read
my
it,
copy
Becky?
in the no, I just received it in the mail yesterday.
It's so
Mm,
lovely. It's got a great premise about a woman who she's over 50 and she suddenly starts losing body parts. They just disappear. She's suffering
yeah,
from
it sounds really,
infertility.
yeah,
Great premise. So I really enjoyed that. Yeah. And I'm
yeah.
moving on to Kylie Orr's The 11th Floor next.
Okay, yeah, I haven't read that one either, but I've heard that
It
one's
sounds
good as
great.
well.
Yeah.
Mm, mm. And what do you hope readers love about your books?
I hope that within the kind of thriller side of it and the suburban noir side of it, that they get a bit of a laugh from it as well. Because that's really important to me, to kind of be able to have a bit of a chuckle and to, you know, to have a bit of light with the shade, because they can be really dark. The storylines are really dark. Essentially, they're about murders and people, you know, who want to seek revenge on one another. But I really wanted to have sort of some one-liners and things that made people laugh, and you know, and mostly I find that happens during the dialogue. So yeah, I'd like people to take away going, oh yeah, it was a thriller, but it was also quite fun. You know, and I hope I've hit the mark with that, but you never really know. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. No, I think, like you said, yeah, it is quite gory, some of the things that happen in that, but I think there is a bit of laughter in that as well, and
Yeah,
it isn't
hopefully
there.
light relief.
Yeah, exactly. Um, oh, Jessie says, what was the most challenging part of writing this book?
The most challenging part. Oh, that's a good question.
Hmm.
Probably because it's quite a complicated book. So there's a lot happening, and there's a lot of sort of subplots, and there's a lot of twists. So I
Mm,
guess the most challenging part will probably be keeping on top of that and kind of trying to remember who does what and trying to tie up loose ends and make sure
mm,
you know you've mentioned something and then you've rounded it off and it's got a conclusion to it. Yeah, there's a lot going on because I don't plan my books and I don't have spreadsheets that tell me what I've got to do and when. I do have to really be careful that I've covered, you know, dotted all my I's and crossed all my T's, and yeah, that I've kept track of what's happening when, because the storylines do get a bit complicated.
mm. And it was the sort of book that I found you could actually write another follow-on book for it. Is that something that's been in your mind?
Oh, do you know what? I would love to revisit these characters,
Yeah.
particularly Ella and Felicity. I reckon there might be more. Maybe there's more to
Mm,
come out. I don't know. Oh, I was
mm.
about to give away a plot spoiler then. But yeah, I'd like to see what happens to them all. And Kai, I'd like to see what happens to all the women.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I would
That
definitely
would,
do it.
yeah, that would be great. Happy Valley Books, they said your books are amazing. They haven't read the school run yet, but they're looking forward to it when they get their copy.
Oh, thank you so much. Hope you like it.
And I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about how you got your first book published.
Yeah, so I did a writing course. So I was a journalist for a long time. But just to stress, you don't need to be, you know, have been a
Mm,
journalist or a writer to do one of these writing courses. And I just applied for it because I had my third child and he was one. And I kind of felt it was time to do something for me. I did a writing course that was at the Faber Academy with Alan and Unwin. And I did that over two lots of 3 months, 6
mm,
months in total, but over about 8 months. And there was a break in the middle. And it taught us how to write a novel. And I wrote the trivia night, most of it on that course. And then at the end of that course, everyone on it submits a chapter to an anthology, which then gets sent out to agents in Australia and a few in London. And it landed on the desk of my agent, and she read my chapter. And she basically said, could I send the full manuscript over? And I did. And she offered representation. And then she sent out my book to publishers on submission at the beginning of COVID. So it was really dicey time when, you know, in sort of March 2020, where we sort of didn't know whether it was going, what was happening with the publishing
mm,
industry, you know, whether any books were going to get published, what, you know, the whole world seemed to be closing down. So it was all a bit sort of up in the air. And then suddenly Hodder jumped in with an offer, and I just loved my then agent at Hodder, who's now left Kimberley. She was fantastic. She signed me up for two books, and then
mm.
you know, and then there were two more. So yeah, it's been fantastic. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was very lucky. I'm aware I'm very lucky.
Yeah, no, that's a great, like some stories you hear from writers, they've been trying and trying for a long, long time. So, yeah, that's a great story.
Yeah, right
Mm,
place, right time, I think. So yeah.
yeah. And growing up as a child, is that writing something you always thought you would become a writer, or did you do a lot of writing when you were a child?
I don't think I thought I would be a writer really until I went to uni, and I did my ancient history degree, and then I
Mm,
decided to do a postgraduate course in journalism. So I knew I was going to go into writing then, but as a kid, I didn't. I guess it didn't occur to me that that could be a career, that
mm,
that you could, that I could, you know, little me could have a career in writing.
mm,
So I didn't really explore it, but I was always writing. So my sister said to me recently that I was always wandering around with a notepad in my hand. And, you know, even if I
mm.
sat down and watched TV, I'd have a notepad
Oh,
beside me on the side of the chair,
yeah.
always with a pen, always writing songs. I mean, I wrote a song when I was about 13 for a competition, and it got sent into the BBC by my school. And, you know, and
Mm,
I was always writing, and I was always telling stories, and I was always playing make believe and dressing up. So
mm.
I think looking back, all the signs were there. But at the time, I don't think I realised it.
Mm. And Kelly says she loves your books and wonders what's been the best and the worst part of your writing journey.
Oh, the best part is seeing the book on the shelf each time, every February stroke March that I've the last 3 years, seeing my book there, having that sort of sense of wow, oh my goodness, I can't believe it's there. Going and meeting all the booksellers, you know, having the response from people, you know, and people enjoying the book, hopefully. You know, that's always such a really good feeling, and that is probably the best. And also, you know, having a launch with your friends and family, that's always really spectacular. But you know, it is hard work. It's you know, you have to write the book. You know, you have to think up the ideas, you have to get deep into the writing process, you know. And I do actually enjoy the writing process, but invariably you do get to a point, you know, sort of 3/4 of the way in where you think this is terrible, oh my goodness, you know, no one's going to read this, it's awful. And I'll quite often, you know, have a sort of 10-minute tantrum to my husband saying this is awful, it's just so bad, I can't believe I've written it's terrible. And then you kind of have a good writing day the next day and you think, actually, you know, this is all right, I like this, I like where it's going, you know. So it really is kind of an up and down career. But I mean, you know, it's not without hard work, but I really do love it, and it allows me to sort of work around my family as well. You know, so it's yeah, so far everything's been pretty good. But yes, the days when the hard work happens, it can be quite sort of, you know, you're in your jogging bottoms with the cat on your lap, you know, your glasses on, and you're just, you know, pounding away. It can be quite full on, but you know, I can't complain basically.
And when you are feeling a bit down and thinking that, oh, maybe it's not sounding too great, is there anything that you do to pick yourself up?
Oh gosh, I wish I could say that I did something like meditate or something like that, but no, I don't. I just eat chocolate, have a coffee, probably just drive around to a friend's house, have a whinge, come back and start again, because you know, you've got to get on with it. But if you're not feeling, if I'm having a day where I just think everything I'm writing is terrible, then probably the best thing to do is just get away from the computer. You know, not rather than trying to plod through it. Maybe I'll do something else, some admin, or maybe I'll just work on my website or something, you know. There's no point in sort of banging at the keys if you think it's terrible, and everyone has bad days, but you know, it's important that you just kind of try to make sure have a good night's sleep if I know I'm writing the next day, and just try and get out of the slump the next day.
And Happy Valley Books have got another great question. They wonder, do you know what the twist is before you get to writing it, or does it come later?
Oh, later. Definitely later. So usually all I know when I sit down and start to write is who the victim is.
Okay.
And there might be multiple victims, but I probably won't know that. I'll know who my main victim is, and then I will start writing around that. And twists will come and go, but the end twist, no. Oh, actually, sorry, next book, I did kind of know that twist. I didn't. There's a big one right at the end of book 4. I've just been editing that. So I did know that, but with the others, no. Just, you know, write it, see what happens, and then, you know, because invariably I don't always know who's done it at all. So with the running club, I didn't know who was guilty of the crime until about 3/4 of the way through, and I was still deciding, and then I wrote around it. So with that one, the twist came very late.
And are you able to tell us anything about what you're working on at the moment?
Well, I've just written number 5, but number 4, to tell you a bit about that, is that it's a destination thriller.
Okay.
I'm leaving Sydney for the next one, but it's still my usual style, with the same kinds of people and a community with revenge at the heart of it, but it's set outside of Australia.
Okay, sounds exciting.
Yeah, should be able to let you know more soon, hopefully.
Yeah, and will that be out later this year or next year?
I'm not entirely sure, but I think probably this time next year.
Yeah.
Probably March 2025. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, great. And you've just started writing your 5th book.
Yeah. So that's been interesting and fun, and I've been really enjoying that. So, and now I've kind of put that to bed while I do the promotion for this book. It's kind of quite cyclical, the year for me. It's sort of right between July and December, and then sort of promote, and then edit, promote, edit, and then write again. So hopefully if I can stick to that, I can yeah, things will be okay.
And what have you got on for promoting the school run? Have you got any festivals or author tours?
Yeah, so I'll be at the well, I've got a few sort of influencer things going on, and I have got an event, Books and Bars with Dimmocks, next week, and another one at a bookstore in Mona Vale, Buffalo Books. I have got a festival in the offing, but I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to say which one it is. But yeah, I will plaster it all over my Instagram as soon as I'm allowed to say. But yeah, it's very exciting, the year ahead.
No, that sounds great. And Happy Valley Books said, have you got any book tours in Victoria?
Oh yes, thank you. I have. I'm coming to Melbourne I can't believe I've got that, because it's very exciting, because I'm doing a chat with the amazing Sally Hepworth
Oh,
on
great.
Wednesday the 3rd or Wednesday the 4th of April. And I'm super excited about that, because I'm such a massive fan of Sally. So yeah, really looking forward to doing that. And then I'll be sort of visiting some bookstores, but I'm only there for a couple of days, and that's the only event I'm doing. But that's at Beaumaris Library if anyone wants to come along. And there's there's info on my Instagram page.
No, that all sounds great, and sounds like you're going to be very busy.
Oh yeah, it's exciting. I love all this bit. It's really good getting out, because it can be quite a solitary career when you're sort of tapping away at home. Well, I always have the cat with me.
Yeah, your cat is very cute.
Oh, he's gorgeous, isn't he?
What's your cat's name?
This is Jaffa.
Oh, Jasper.
And he's
very cute.
very, very cute. But he always jumps on my lap when I'm doing podcasts or interviews without
He wants
fail.
to make sure he's seen.
I know, he's a bit of an exhibitionist.
Well, thanks so much for chatting with me. Hopefully I'll get to talk to you again for your next book.
I hope so, Jackie.
Thanks for everyone who joined in and all the great questions we had.
Oh, thank you so much. That was really lovely. It's really nice to talk to you. And yes, thanks for the questions.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.